Welcome everyone to another edition of the Flat Tire Pod. This is our first pod that's going to be on YouTube, so you get to see our pretty faces for the first time. Um, Today is our recap of the Atlanta races. Buckle in. This is going to be a very fun pod. I think everyone here has very pointed opinions to make about several things. As you can notice from our backgrounds, we are very happy today. Um, But first off, before we get into the meat of it and the really, really good stuff, I want to talk about the first race of the weekend, the truck race, which I think was probably the best race of the weekend. So, um, Joe, if you want to get us started on your thoughts and opinions on the truck race, because I see on your notes you have a lot of thoughts and opinions.
I only paid attention to the truck race because that's what I said I would do. And you caught me making notes.
I did.
Uh, I didn't really watch the first stage. I did go back and watch it. It was all high side running. I
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
all the first stage was.
um, it seemed like handling was actually more of an issue,
Mhm.
like which I liked. It better than the cup race already right off the bat. Just that alone.
Yep. Yep.
I'm not sick of Jamie Little yet.
Don't know how. I don't know
Oh,
how that's possible.
we got her in 2 more weeks. Uh, man, I so from what I saw, stage two at the end, I think it was when Corey Heim and Ty Majeski ran out. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, they both
Because
stayed out.
so I missed that part. I was like, what are these two goobers doing?
At the end of stage one, they decided to stay out when everyone else pit for gas. And yeah, that ended up biting Corey Heim because I don't think he ever recovered after that.
Majeski recovered. Corey Heim did not.
Yes, because
Well,
I think
he
Majeski finished
kind
the
of
stage,
recovered.
right?
Majeski finished the stage, but he ran out
Okay.
after the stage was over.
So he had
I
starting
think he
back.
went down a lap, but he got
Okay.
his lap back. So he finished like I think in top 20. If I remember correctly. I don't remember. But and I hate I hate saying this. I actually enjoy Joey Logano in the booth.
He's not bad. Him
I
or
hate
Brad, they're
it.
both pretty good.
I hate Joey Logano so much, but I love him there. Just stay in the booth, Joey, forever.
Maybe he could replace Clint Boyer because I think I'm
Oh,
tired of hearing Clint.
yes, for sure. The Canadian American Redux at the end.
This is the
uh,
real Four Nations.
I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for Stewart.
Same.
I'm like, Kyle's won enough. Come on,
Well,
let Stewart have one.
I like Kyle a lot, so like I wasn't mad about the finish by no means, but like I don't think Stewie's won in a while. I think it's been 2, 3 years.
He actually has wins.
Oh yeah, no, he has wins. He used to be like a championship contender, if you want to call him that.
I don't. I
Um,
always thought he was like the Michael Waltrip of truck racing.
no, no, he has several wins. Three. Well, I thought he
Okay,
had more than that.
I thought he had
No,
less
he
than
has
that.
three.
Yeah, at Texas in 2022 was his last win.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
so I guess he is the Mike Waltrip of the Truck Series. He only has 3 wins.
And I think two of the other ones were in 2019, one at Phoenix and one at Eldora.
so he's better than Michael Waltrip,
Yeah, because well, I don't know. Michael Waltrip in the Busch Series was kind of a threat. So,
especially at Nashville.
uh, um, any other thoughts on the truck race, Joe?
On the truck race. No, I mean it was I like you said it was probably the best out of the three.
Um,
I probably should have took more notes. I'll learn for next time. It was a learning process.
See, half the time I'm like, man, I'm not going to take notes throughout the race. This is kind of dumb. I'll just remember it. Then I'll get on the pod and like the cup race will just piss me. Well, I guess we only had two of these. So, but the cup race will just piss me off so much. I've like just flushed everything out of the previous races out of my head.
You need more Arca. That'll
Oh,
get you
yeah.
going.
I think we have to wait another month or so for Arca to get back, but I'm excited so I can actually see a series that's worse than Cup for once.
That's probably for the best.
Cason, were you able to catch some of the truck race? I don't know if I know I don't think you caught the first couple stages, but I didn't know.
The only part I didn't catch was stage one. I watched the rest of it. Kyle Busch was doing Kyle Busch things. I also loved Joey and Brad in the booth. I thought they kind of carried it. You
What?
know, yes, I stand by the statement. They carried the booth there. Um, what else happened in that race?
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Raja Karuth just apparently he hit a patch of oil and lost it.
oh yeah, that was
Oh,
unfortunate there. But
yeah.
yeah, I did think that was the best race of the weekend. Exciting finish. Even like the last 10 laps when they're kind of going back and forth and swapping the lead, I thought was good.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have a big Tyler Ankrum or Daniel Hemrick win there, but Daniel Hemrick's damage just really screwed him at the end.
He
Daniel
probably should have
Hemrick
stood behind.
driving to the front in that car was pretty insane, I thought,
Oh yeah,
considering how damaged that thing was. This isn't Martinsville.
I think that's what his undoing was though, because if I'm not mistaken, he got out front and like all that wind just picked up under his hood and just pushed him right up the racetrack.
Uh, don't forget about the true story of the whole truck race was Frankie Muniz.
Oh yeah, he's not getting any respect, man.
He's not.
Nobody respects him.
He should act better.
He should have been in Breaking Bad.
He's my truck champion to be, Frankie Muniz.
One day.
That's this year. I'm
Uh,
I'm calling my shot.
oh, honestly, I don't know if you have anything else to say about the truck race. We kind of cut you off there, but
No, not really. I don't have a ton to say until the cup, which I actually have a stat for you guys in the cup race.
oh,
Actually, two stats.
I'm excited. Well, my view of the truck race, it was easily the best of the weekend. I think other than stage one was pretty awful, but like they didn't get any practice time, so they didn't know how their trucks were going to react. So I really don't blame them for running single file and trying to figure stuff out. But from stage two on, man, it was a pretty solid race. I mean, it wasn't like calamity. It's actually been the only of the six races that we've ran between trucks, Xfinity, and Cup all year that did not have a yellow flag finish. They finished under green, which I said this last week and I said it on the pod before that in our season preview. Trucks is looking pretty good. They've kind of gotten their stuff together compared to Xfinity or especially Cup. But yeah, Kyle Busch put on a clinic. It was a good race. I think trucks at Atlanta is getting where it needs to be, and hopefully it'll continue to stay that way. Unfortunately, they only go here one time a year, like Xfinity, which Xfinity shouldn't be here twice a year. So I'm going to segue into Xfinity. Um, wow, that was a horrible race. I got to watch the first two stages, I think, and then I watched the last 10 laps at a bar. So I'm really not the one to talk about it. So I'll just go ahead and kind of spit out what I thought. It's Xfinity racing in Atlanta. It's like in our preview. It's just single file choo-choo train. Austin Hill's dominating the whole race. Um, I did not like Dean Thompson's losing my respect. I think he blew a tire and then just stopped on the track, like off of turn four, and was just sitting there waiting for a caution. And luckily, I think oh shoot, who was it that spun out?
Sieg.
Yeah, Sieg spins out, and they brought out a caution, but they still held him for a lap. Which honestly, I think if you stop and try to intentionally get a yellow, you should be held for more than one lap. Like make it really impact your race. Like go down multiple laps where it's almost impossible to get the lucky dog that many times. Um, Other than that, it was the Austin Hill show. I was able to watch overtime. I don't know if it was overtime or maybe I don't know. I just the last couple of laps when Justin Allgaier completely just handed Austin Hill the win on a silver platter. Um, Not really much to say. Kind of a kind of a boring race, but They also let him run back to the finish after that massive wreck on the backstretch, and we'll get into more of this later. But the NASCAR media members, namely Jeff Gluck, was crying about how that should have been a yellow, and I definitely think that had something to do with what we saw tonight. But I will save that for later because we got a lot of minutes left in this pod. So, what were you guys' thoughts on the Xfinity race?
I have one thing to add on that. The funny thing about that not being a yellow was that if they would have called a yellow, it would have done. There was zero impact it would have had on the race.
Yeah,
because Austin Hill was out so far at that time, which is when you do call the yellow, in my opinion. But again, we'll get to that later. Yeah, basically, it was just everyone wanted to follow Austin Hill around and then Justin Allgaier as well because Justin Allgaier got to second and just sat there for like 70 laps, I thought. That's about all that happened. It was just Austin Hill led, Justin Allgaier followed him, and then everyone else just kind of crashed during random sequences.
Joe.
The only thing that I have is like, why would you even follow Austin Hill? Leave him out to dry. Come on. Maybe it's an experience thing because the cup race, which we'll get to, they all ditch the boards to ditch Hill.
Yeah.
Just get together. You don't have to push him. Just ditch him. It's not hard.
It's frustrating to watch that because people like following him up through the field though because they feel like they can get up to the front, but like the most you're going to get up to is second. Like I don't know.
Like, I looked up his stat earlier, actually yesterday after he won. He has 11 wins, 8 of them are on plate tracks. You know the guy's just going to win. Ditch his ass.
Oh well, that's the
Come
NASCAR
on.
Xfinity series for you.
It's got to be an experience thing. But even like with no experience, you would still think, hey, this guy is probably going to beat me. Just take some risks.
Nonsense.
Be a risk taker.
The only risk taker you'll find in the Xfinity series is the risk to wreck their car before the finish of the race. So, and not to actually win.
Right.
Well,
it's awful. By the way, one more thing on the Xfinity broadcast booth, still great.
Oh yeah, CW, awesome. I mean, I can't complain. Is there anything else you guys want to get into before we all go on unhinged rants that is going to earn this podcast an explicitive rating on Spotify?
I'd like to segue us in there actually with a couple stats.
Okay.
Stat one, looking at Joe's background, there was 2 drivers on there I was kind of surprised to see. So I had to look up the actual points to see if they were doing as well. One, and this shouldn't be a surprise, Ricky Stenhouse in 8th place in actual points, having a pretty solid year so far. And yes, you're going to think the other one's going to be John Hunter. No, it is not. The other one, Michael McDowell in 14th in actual points. I felt like he was having a terrible season, but I saw during the start of this podcast when I looked something up, he is the only driver to not be involved in a wreck so far this year, apparently.
I did see that too.
He was also like, 6, 7 laps down after losing his power steering and finished 13th today. Pretty good day. But my other stat has to do with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Apparently, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is one of 8 people who have ever won both iterations of Daytona and Talladega.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is fairly interesting. I'd imagine Earnhardt is probably one of those 8.
Let me find the picture. I have it pulled up
It's probably both
around here
Earnhardts.
somewhere. Yep, both. Yep, and there's no other active drivers, by the way. If you guys want
Jeff
to guess,
Gordon, Jimmy Johnson.
not Jimmy, but Jeff is on there.
Jeff
So you have
Gordon,
3 of the. No,
Petty.
there's 9 drivers total.
Okay, it's got to be Petty.
Yep, Petty.
Pearson.
You're 4 away. Nope, not Pearson.
Not Pearson. Waltrip.
Nope, none of the wall trips.
Joe, you want to take a shot at this?
So you're missing.
Oh,
Let's say 4 drivers. Yep.
Jamie McMurray.
Back ends up.
Not Jay McMurray.
Damn.
No, you got to go older. You got to go.
Garrett
Um,
Cope,
one of these was all in the 90s.
Sterling
One
Marlin,
was all in the 80s. One was in the 70s and 80s, and one was in the 70s. The other was in the 70s and 80s too.
Tiny Lund.
No.
I can go all day.
Okay, one of them's pretty obvious. I'll give you the most obvious one, Bill Elliott.
Okay. Yeah, well, damn, I should have got that one because he was flying.
Yeah, so there's
What do
three
you
others. There's one all in the 90s, two 70s, and the other two are in the 70s and 80s.
I'm assuming these are all Hall of Fame drivers.
Two I know for sure are. I can't remember if the other one is or isn't.
Did Terry Labonte ever win the 500?
Nope.
Dale Jarrett?
Nope.
Wow.
I'm actually looking up to see if this guy's a Hall of Famer.
Ned Jarrett.
Also no.
Damn.
I'll give you the other most obvious one, Cale Yarborough.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I was thinking him,
Wait.
but I didn't want to say it.
Bobby Allison.
Nope. There's a 70s and 80s this guy in the 70s and 80s. He's
What
the other one. I guess I'm not 100% sure if he is or isn't in the
what
Hall of
what
Fame.
car number is he closely associated with?
Let me look. I don't know my 70s and 80s NASCAR history as well as you. It looks like he drove a variety of cars. He is in the Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2020. I think he's
Oh.
most well known for 28, it looks like.
JD McDuffie.
Let me think.
28? Is
He's,
it Fred
he's next
Lorenzen?
to a no, he's next to a 28, he's next to a 3, and he's next to a 15 in these pictures.
Ricky Rudd.
28, 15, and
Let
3?
me see. Let me see what some other. He won 19 races and 700 races ran. Was in the top 75 drivers ever. Was in the Hall of Fame in 2020.
You're gonna tell me this is gonna piss me off. What was his last start?
His last start was in 1992 in Talladega. His first start was 1959.
And you said 28, 15, and 3.
Yeah, those are some cars. And he drove an 88, it looks like, too.
Man, I don't know. You're gonna tell me this and it's gonna piss me off.
So this one is Buddy Baker.
Oh,
I never would have got that.
the sad part is I'm not gonna say that on the pod, but I should have got that one.
And then there's one more. He won these all in the 90s.
Sterling Marlin.
Yep. Well, I guess was there did you I thought you said Sterling Mullen already.
Yeah, you
I
did.
I said okay, there's a different one that won all these
Okay.
races he won between in 91, 92, and 93 all Talladega and Daytona races.
Ernie Irvin.
He won them all.
That is correct.
That 4 Kodak car was great.
Yeah.
So those are the drivers alongside Ricky Stenhouse who have won each iteration of Talladega and Daytona.
So, does Ricky Stenhouse make the NASCAR Hall of Fame like the rest of these guys?
If he
Did
wins a
Michael
couple
Waltrip?
more, he might.
Did Michael Waltrip make it?
Michael Waltrip's not going to make the Hall of Fame.
Then my answer is no.
Well, yeah, okay, good point. Well, so that I like that case. That was fun.
He does have 2 Xfinity Series championships.
So I guess moving on to the Cup race, unfortunately. Wow, that was a lot of fun. Now I'm about to get really angry. So
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a fun little exercise I saw this week. So
Before you guys start, just so you know, I don't have anything to complain about.
well, we're gonna avoid you till the end of this. So
Okay.
Cason, how about this? How about we do this?
yeah.
Let's each talk about the race up until the overtime finish.
Okay.
So, Joe, I will let you go first on this one since you're going to be sidelined for a
Oh,
while.
I thought the race in the beginning was great. Like first stage, it was a lot of give and take, I thought. Like which was what I expect at a narrow, I'll just call it a plate track, even though it's not a plate track. First stage, great. Was it the second stage? Everyone kind of got a little more take than give. Like there's a few incidents there. That was when the Chase Elliott incident, right?
Yeah.
That was when who bumped into Stenhouse there. I can't remember who
Oh,
came up the turn.
um,
That Chase got all mad at
yeah,
Stenhouse, even though
it
Stenhouse
was
didn't do it.
Briscoe.
Oh yeah, that's when the Briscoe
It
uh
started.
yeah, that he was like, oh yeah, I drive a Toyota now. I can do what I want. Even though he did that when he was Ford. Uh take that bomber. But yeah, it was around there. Like it was all take, less give. And even I heard Kyle Busch's audio. I believe that was second stage too, with Hosevard saying, and I quote, I don't give a shit who he is. I will wreck this entire field to take him out. I believe was the quote by Kyle Busch about Carson. And yeah, I then it became like a wreck fest basically. I'd say for third stage every now and then. There's what, 4 cautions in the third stage?
One of them I was napping through, so
Yeah, so you probably missed that one.
it was
But
the last caution before like they went green for a little while.
yeah,
That's
that's
very
when
vague. It's like 50 to go when I woke up.
I think that's when Ty Dillon spun out on the backstretch and
Mm, that was early in the race.
that was earlier.
Yeah, because I
That
remember
was,
watching. That was like first stage.
it happened. No, it happened at the same time with Chris Buescher on the front stretch. He spun out
Okay.
at the
Yeah,
same time. Ty Gibbs was spinning on the backstretch. It was like right consecutively, like right
That
after
was
each other.
the
Was
Riley
that's
Herbst terrorism.
yeah. That almost took out my boy Shane.
Well, no, I saw that wreck.
Did you?
Yeah, because Riley checked up in front of Bubba. Uh,
Actually, that led to it. I think no, that led to the Chase Elliott crash. I believe. I don't remember.
no, that
It
was
was like
yeah.
it was like eons ago.
This is why we need to write notes.
Nah, I flat seat my pants. It's easy to remember like the end of the race just because it's more fresh than it is to remember the beginning. Which
Yeah.
now that you mention that, I should take notes.
I think if the ending wasn't the ending it was, it would be easier to remember anyways. But continue on, Joe.
I hate being a center of attention. No, I don't. Uh, yeah, I've had no issues with this race. I had none. It was perfect. It was a perfect Atlanta race, if you ask me.
Okay. Well, Cason, without getting into the controversial topics, what did you think of the race up until the overtime?
Um, eh, it was solid. It wasn't a bad race. It wasn't like a all-time race, I feel like. I have to say, like Joe said, they were clean. Started to get a little more desperate. It wasn't clean. They started wrecking. Chase Briscoe was kind of wrecking some people or causing wrecks due to actions taken, which wasn't ideal, but not the first week. Um, yeah, honestly, it was just kind of a solid race. It was kind of, kind of interesting to see the difference between like especially like Cindric and Barry, the speed of those two especially because they were kind of at the front for most of the race versus especially like the Hendrick Chevys having a little better handling maybe than the Fords but less horsepower. Um There was a good stretch of the race where it just seemed like it was Bowman, Josh Berry, Todd Gilliland, and Austin Cindric which was the most random thing of all time, I felt like. That might have been during nap time for you, but um, yeah, that then the field got switched because of that caution. You had Chastain and SVG up at the front, which was kind of fun just to see people drive through the field until I saw William Byron drive through the field and I got very worried. Um, then we had Kyle Larson actually do good at a drafting track, which is I think the first time ever that's happened. And then Kyle Larson killed William Byron and Austin Cindric by driving Cindric up into the wall. Could Cindric have backed out? Yes. Would I have backed out if I was Cindric? No.
It's what he does.
Um,
It's those Kyle Larson grenade
Bullshit.
brony tactics.
but yeah, that was about it. I really think that if Larson doesn't drive Cindric into the wall, that either he or Byron run away with that race there for his just kind of spread out as people were there for a second. And that was coming to two to go.
It was good to the end there. Yeah. I mean, it
I
was
think yeah, it was
a few
about
laps left.
I think it was coming to two to go. But even if he just runs Cindric high but not into the wall, Byron comes down behind him, and I don't think you're gonna pass those two. Because again,
Well,
they're just kind of spread out, and you had Chastain and Hocevar up there doing Chastain and Hocevar actions. Um, but yeah, that gets to the end of the race. I thought it was a fun race for the most part. Not I I don't know. It wasn't like a great race, but it wasn't a bad race either.
yeah. I mostly agree with that sentiment. I man, I like Atlanta. I really don't care for it the week directly after Daytona. And I get why NASCAR does it because they want something similar to Daytona for quote unquote new viewers to see the second week. But like, I like, I guess, what is it, drafting style tracks is what they're calling it now. I like them a lot, but 2 weeks in a row is kind of much. I think a drafting style race is kind of like a treat. You know, you get your Phoenixes, you get your tracks and races where it's, not the best show. And you're like, oh yeah, Talladega's this week or Atlanta's this week, Daytona's this week. It's exciting. You get to look forward to it. It's a bit much for me back to back. And I had a late night last night, early morning. So in the third stage, I took a little nap for like 30 laps, which I guess I just missed one caution because I woke up to a yellow. And overall, it wasn't a bad race. I think the Kyle Larson move, I was pretty upset about the Kyle Larson move because he does that every freaking chance he gets. Like, I like Larson. I think the dude's a really dirty driver and just puts people in really bad spots. And I am a Bubba fan, but if more people did to Larson what Bubba did, I think he'd put a stop to that. I mean, he, it, or if people just turn like when he does that, just turn left into him and wreck him. Because I mean, he's not going to stop doing that, and I guess that's why he wins so much. But it's rather quite frustrating. And the only driver he doesn't do it on is Denny Hamlin because he just lets Denny roll over him. But back to the race.
Oh, can I stop you there, Chris, for just two quick points?
Yeah.
One, it is hilarious. He does it to every driver except for the driver who probably deserves it because the driver does it to him all the time. I guess part 1.5, the fact that he wrecked Hendrick's real best driver and Hendrick's real best driver
You're
wasn't even
full of
mad
it.
about it.
You're full of it. Well, dude, I like how the 2014 blamed Cindric for that.
Yeah,
Hang on.
Like, oh yeah, the two hit the wall.
Like Cason finish. I want to hear about this 24 car.
I was just saying he wrecked Hendrick's best driver, who could have won back to back. And he's now doomed us to Hendrick's best driver winning like three of the next five races before he just doesn't win again until September, October. Um, but the last point and the better point, I guess, is that if they would put this Atlanta race in like mid-March, I think I would enjoy it a lot more.
No, I can agree to that.
You'd have like a good about month break between Daytona, Atlanta, Talladega. That'd be a nice start. I think a month break in between each. I don't want to go straight from Daytona. Like, I don't like going from drafting track with crashes to drafting track with crashes to road course that half the field still can't drive to Phoenix.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
like
about to make
that.
that point. I was really about to make that point because Coda has the potential to be a good race. I like Coda where it's at just because the storylines. I mean, we're going to see the Red Bulls cars back for the first time at Zilich's first Cup start, which the Connor Zilich Plays pod is going to be back on and on Wednesday. Um, I don't mind that for the storylines, although I wish we were going to a traditional track versus Coda. But then we go to Phoenix, and I've spoke my mind about Phoenix before. it is an awful racetrack. The only redeeming quality is that they're going to do the option tire thing again. So I guess that's all right. But I mean, we have to suffer through 2 drafting tracks, a road course, which the next gen car has been very hit or miss with road courses.
And it's been reconfigured.
Yeah, well, that's one reason I'm not like too upset about it, because it's going to be something. It's kind of like the Roval this year. Like usually I'd say, oh yeah, the Roval's going to be a snooze fest, but which it probably still will be. Same thing with Coda, but you don't know until you know. You don't know till you know. But then you go to Phoenix, and that's what grinds my gears, because it's like you have 2 non-legitimate races, another race that doesn't really show what kind of racing NASCAR is, and what it's what, only like 5-6 races out of the whole schedule, and then you go straight to the worst track on the schedule. So then you go to Vegas, which I'm excited for Vegas, but up until then, it's just I'm already kind of disillusioned for the rest of the season after tonight. We're gonna get to Phoenix, and my patience is probably worn thin. But
You
anyways,
need more Jamie Little. That'll get the blood flowing again.
I think I need more Jamie Little and Arca.
No. She's perfect where she is.
Yeah, my point to it though is if you'd like move it around a little bit, I really don't want to go from drafting tracks to Coda, which is gonna be, I don't know, could be Reddick or Byron, but I'm guessing it's gonna be like SVG, maybe Zillich. And then you go to Phoenix, which is gonna be the Penske and William Byron Invitational, followed by the Kyle Larson Invitational at Vegas. Just not a very well spread out schedule for your kind of crapshoot races and your more legit tracks, but we can also talk about that when we get to
Yeah.
Just
like
a quick thing.
Wednesday.
I want to let you know next year it's gonna be fixed anyways, because it's gonna be Rockingham after Daytona, like it should be.
Yes. I yes, please. And I guess to finish off my opinion here about the race before we get to the good stuff. Solid race. Kyle Larson kind of ruined it, and then NASCAR just suplexed it. So yeah, I guess we're on to the finish where they
Ruined
restarted.
or made better.
Joe, you can interject. let me segue. You can interject later. So you have the final restart in overtime, and I really think Chastain jumped the start there. I mean, he beat Larson to the line. I haven't rewatched those, so I can't say that with any certainty. NASCAR didn't find that he jumped it. Now, if he would have taken the lead, won the race, maybe they'd have thought differently, but I don't know.
Maybe if Christopher Bell got second.
They go green. Hocevar leaves Chastain out to dry. They go to the backstretch on the last lap, and Hocevar makes a very impressive move. Some would call it dirty. I would call it dirty, but it's the right move to make at that point. Force it 3 wide, and they're looking like they're going to come to the line under green, considering all of the, we're going to let them race back finishes that we've had over the last 2 weeks. And NASCAR throws the caution for Josh Berry and I think 2 other cars wrecking. So you know what? I'm gonna change this up because I said, Joe, you were gonna go last, but I wanna know why, Joe, do you think that this was an acceptable ending, considering everything we've seen over the past 2 weeks when it comes to NASCAR and cautions?
Well, first, Kyle Larson improved the finish by eliminating a threat. Austin Cindric.
Do you not like Austin Cindric?
I don't like him.
How do you not like Austin Cindric? He's a likable nepo baby.
It's his face. He's got to change it.
Okay.
Wear less bow ties.
All right.
No, I actually don't have anything against him.
Oh.
I just didn't want him to win. It's mostly because he's in a Penske car, and Joey's in a Penske car.
This is making a lot of sense, Cason. Making a lot of sense.
Penske cars grind my gears since 2015. And the other thing, Bowman getting taken out. I want Matt Kenseth to keep that stat that Mike Joy brought up of being the last guy to win the first 2 races of the year since 09. Why I thought it was acceptable. You know what? Jeff Gluck was right. It's all about safety. Because you know what?
Brother.
That's the one thing NASCAR can somehow not fuck up. It's the safety aspect because they use that excuse a lot.
That's not an excuse.
It's so an excuse and it's perfect. You can't beat it. Well, we can't throw the yellow out. We have to throw the yellow out because there's cars spitting in turn 1. You got to throw the yellow out because there's cars spitting in turn 3. It's all about safety, Chris. You really want another
this?
Blaze Alexander out there? I don't.
Is this content or
this is called
really
me being authentic?
I don't. I feel like you're full of shit right now.
I'm very authentic right now.
I'm calling
100%. 100%. Jeff Gluck's correct.
So you honestly think NASCAR?
Please get me on your podcast, Jeff.
You're sounding like Jordan Bianchi right now. So
what? That schmuck with the receding hairline.
I would like to interject a personal story here. Katie and I went to Bristol Dirt the year Christopher Bell won, and I'm gonna interject with yet another story before I finish my original interjection. Every race I seem to go to, Christopher Bell just wins. So this is probably the reason I am so fired up tonight. But as you see, he's a leader of the NASCAR clubhouse tonight. Oh boy. Well, anyways, I'm at Bristol Dirt. Me and Katie are sitting there in the stands, and I see a familiar face, like 5 rows in front of us, talking to this group of people. And I'm like, where have I seen this man before? He looks very recognizable. And it hit me. It's freaking Jordan Bianchi. Well, I don't know if it was his family or his girlfriend and his family or something, but the man, before he walks down to the end of the row, well, not end of the row, the end of the stands, like where you go out to the concourse. He looks over at those group of people, blows a kiss, and does this little number with his fingers. And
so cool.
Ever since then, I have not liked that guy. Just for that. He's probably a good dude, but if you're listening to this podcast, Jordan Bianchi, you have to answer for your crimes against humanity.
I don't know. I thought that was a pretty cool thing that he did.
I thought it was pretty cool when he kind of supported Austin Dillon, but
yeah, he won me over.
Well,
and I want to know before I continue if you're astral projecting at Atlanta today.
Maybe.
What do you say every time you're there? just have to ask.
Well, just next time NASCAR, it's raining and NASCAR decides, we're gonna wait to call the race for like 2.5 hours while we're gonna send the jet dryers out to run 1 lap around and then call the race. If we ever have another situation like that again in a race I am attending, that's a podcast you guys do not want to show up to.
All right. Personally, you can't see it, but I got my humidifier behind me. I should have just called the race tonight. It was too humid in my room when I was leading and qualified on the pole.
Oh, all right. Well, Joe, would you like to finish your thoughts before Case and I go on generational rants here?
Yes. At the end, the caution was needed for safety. I've always supported Elton Sawyer from the beginning. I've never said a bad word about him. He's perfect. He's the best human, and he's perfect for NASCAR. You can go ahead because safety is first.
Joe, can you talk for like 15 more seconds for me real quick?
Yes. Elton Sawyer is my favorite. I'm not reading a cue card in front of me, and I'm not being held hostage.
All right. So, guys, I just looked up on Twitter on Joe's account. He has 8 tweets pertaining to Elton Sawyer, and I will read them off to you.
Every single one of them's gold.
If I fucked up as much as Elton Sawyer has this year, I would have been fired a long time ago. Can't wait to hear Elton talk himself into another circle. I like that tweet. It's just impossible for Elton to admit that he fucked up. That means nothing because Elton is a clown. Is Elton Sawyer afraid to talk in front of the media? Elton Sawyer is a clod, and his answers here prove it. Consistently inconsistent. And these are the key words for tonight, Joe. Consistently inconsistent. I look forward to hearing you shred anything that clown Elton Sawyer says tonight. Talking to Denny Hamlin, so Joe's a certified Hamlin fan. And then the last tweet is, but when do I get my weekly word salad from Elton Sawyer? So, Joe, to answer your question, you can tune into the NASCAR North Korea propaganda podcast whenever it drops and listen to Elton talk himself into a circle.
Just so you know, the salad was delicious today. And it filled me up. And now I'm on his side. That's past Joe saying those things. This is that current Joe. Okay. And current Joe knows that was a good call.
Well, thanks for your contrarian opinion, so we can actually have some face palms in here every once in a while.
Bomber's not here to do it.
Yeah, we do need Bomber in here. Boring Bomber. Cason, do you want to tee off, or do you want me to tee off? Because you have notes, so I feel like yours is going to be pretty pointed. Mine's just going to be scatterbrained all over the place.
See, I don't have actual notes. I just made some mental notes on some talking points there. As you can see behind me for our visual viewers, I have changed my background from Rocket Man Ryan Priest to Elton Sawyer.
I thought for sure that was going to be me.
We have a clown picture here. I don't know what clown it is. I'm not taking any rights from the clown. I guess I should say I know who the clown is, but
is that John Wayne Gacy?
I don't know. John Wayne Gacy, Elton Sawyer, yeah. Both killed something. Anyways. The start of my point here. First off, it's not to actually go at Elton Sawyer or NASCAR, people throwing cautions, anything. It's to go at the NASCAR media. Typically, when NASCAR screws up, it's usually their own fault. They kind of get themselves into the situation. But they were so concerned with safety last night in turn 3 when there's smoke everywhere. And if you're going to pile drive, you're going to do it under green or yellow. The drivers, they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
You have a split second to react to these things. And if you hit the brakes, sometimes it just doesn't go well. Sometimes it does. But there was a crash in the Xfinity race. Was it heading into turn 3, Chris? I believe it was.
Yes, yeah, it was, I think, middle of the backstretch to turn 3.
So the same spot as today's crash, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe, yeah. Actually, maybe a bit further back, if anything.
And the crash was worse with an obvious winner, correct?
Yeah.
Austin Hill's going to win that race regardless. So, you call the caution, you don't call the caution, doesn't really matter there.
We all saw the race. No one was going to pass him going single file into turn 3 or 4. He had the race won.
Yeah. So there starts my biggest point here. Also, going back to the Daytona 500, was it not the same thing where William Byron had the race pretty much won and they didn't call a caution?
Yeah. Or the truck race at Daytona as well, when Parker Kligerman was well ahead and Corey Heim was not going to pass him, and they didn't call the caution until the second wreck in turn 4 when Kligerman was already almost at the tryout.
Yeah. So that goes to my point. What's changed since these? Oh, the NASCAR media, Gluck, and the NASCAR media whining and complaining about driver safety.
We're never going to get an invite on the teardown.
Well, I don't really want to be honest, after this. display.
You guys aren't. I am.
You're also getting invited onto the Elton Sawyer weekly podcast, but
Hell yeah, dude.
The Pyongyang NASCAR podcast.
oh, but yeah, I think that's the first thing that just kind of really irked me after I found that out. With the amount of whining and complaining by NASCAR media to apparently keep NASCAR regional and not very nationally recognized sport, you'd think they'd want more people to watch. They'd want more clicks. And you know what would have gave them more clicks? Some kind of three wide finish or wreck at the finish line like was about to happen.
Wait, hold on, Cason. It's almost like I bought merchandise from a three wide
Oh,
finish before.
yeah.
Oh, it says, hold on one second, Cason. It says Atlanta Motor Speedway photo finish. And there's 3 cars here. I don't know when this happened, but this had to have been pretty big if I would have bought a set about it. But I can't quite remember that finish. I don't think they've made any specials on that finish. I don't think they've talked about this finish all weekend. I think this is just kind of gone from the public memory altogether.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy. I kind of remember something like that happening. I don't know when it was, but
I can't remember either.
gosh,
Or
I
who
was
won.
getting like I remember what happened that day with like the amount of notifications I was getting on like from like Bleacher Report and ESPN, people that don't really talk about NASCAR all that often. And then I was getting like I go on Twitter and there was like, celebrities were commenting and retweeting stuff. Like it was a pretty big deal though, I remember.
I remember getting chills, TBH.
Yeah, it was a big thing. And you know, this gets us back to the race now. Carson Hocevar was he was doing some dirty tactics a little bit during the race, I thought personally. I mean,
Some
I
would
think
say dirty jabroni tactics.
I enjoy watching him and, it's kind of mainly because he's got kind of a fun personality off the track. Um, if he didn't, I probably would absolutely hate him. But he makes some memes and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he goes from me hating the driver to thinking, he's all right. It's kind of like another driver with a podcast. Um,
Hey, Kason, I'm sorry I keep interrupting you,
yeah.
but why do we have 2 pictures of Elton Sawyer? One is your background, one is Joe's background. Oh, excuse me, Elliot Sawyer.
He really is kidnapping Joe. Um, but yeah, that's my first and biggest rant is, NASCAR finally had a thing going where they were being consistent. If there's a wreck in turn 3, we're not going to call the caution. We're going to let them race through. It's not like somebody's flying to the grandstands or through the infield. And then, with what was about to be NASCAR's best finish in a while, they throw the caution. They don't throw the caution after they're 3 wide, it's side by side. They're like, Bell's the slowest of the 3 right now. They're both about to pass him. Let's throw the caution. There's, driver safety in the back. It's gonna be, they're gonna be hitting each other and looking like it's Arca out here, where they're just gonna full throttle into the next car and send him over the track, and Ryan Preece is somehow gonna end up like flying through the infield. I don't know, something of those accords. And what might have been the worst timed caution flag I've seen on a NASCAR since I'd say 2015 Talladega, perhaps. Was it 2015? Joey Logano won the race over Dale
Yeah,
Earnhardt Jr.
Yes,
yeah,
that's when Harvick spun out to keep. Nah, he didn't spin out. He stacked them all up behind him.
yeah.
Matt spun out. Then,
To advance to the next round.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was not a very popular day in NASCAR lore, if I recall, for a lot of reasons. Just like today, it does not seem to be a very popular day out of the NASCAR people I follow on Twitter who aren't part of the Bill France NASCAR Mafia. So yeah, I guess my biggest blame goes on the crybaby commentators first, and then second on NASCAR for succumbing to terrorist demands unlike the USA and throwing the caution, letting Christopher Bell win. We could have had a first-time winner in Carson Hocevar. Kyle Larson, probably the sport's what, second most popular driver at the current moment, somewhere in the top 3 to 5 at the worst. He could have won the race. Could have got, people clapping about it maybe after the race if he would have won. Could have had people signaling where Kyle Larson to go by. But no, we throw we throw the caution, and we in 2 weeks in NASCAR have two Mickey Mouse winners. And unlike when a usual Mickey Mouse winner happens and it's like Ricky Stenhouse or Michael McDowell, it's a lot less fun when it's William Byron and Christopher Bell, and they're already going to win like 4 races each this year, probably.
Yeah.
And that's about the end of my rant. Basically, I'm not a fan of the NASCAR crybaby commentators. I'm not a fan of Fox acting like every NASCAR decision is the best thing you've ever heard, even if it's the worst thing you've ever heard. And I'm not a fan of phantom caution flags being thrown when they weren't thrown the last couple races.
All right. Yeah, I agree with all those points. And let's see. My first gripe, I'm gonna have to piggyback off Cason here, is with the media crying and NASCAR fans too, pissing, moaning, and complaining about, oh, they're not doing the caution. Oh, but you threw it at the second duel. Why didn't you do it tonight? Da, da, da. But when literally everybody at that duel is like, why'd you throw the yellow? Goes back to my whole thing about NASCAR fans cannot make up their minds about what they want. Um, and as Joe was saying, I do get the safety aspect of it. You don't want drivers getting plowed into at full speed, but there was an interview with SVG earlier this year. I can't remember exactly from who, but he was talking about at Talladega, I think his first Talladega Racing Cup, a wreck happened in front of him, and the caution came out. And he said that he slowed down and checked up, and then Kyle Busch goes flying right through and just rams into the wreck. Under yellow, mind you. So it's not going to matter if it's under yellow or under green. Drivers are going to go full speed into crashes, thinking they're Cole Trickle, and that's pretty much that. On the last lap of a race, the excuse before this was, well, we need to get the AMR safety team out, AMR safety team out there first, and
See, Cason gets it
as quickly to the drivers as possible. And that's a load of shit, because what's 15 extra seconds going to do? I mean, seriously. NASCAR, let's see, at the trucks race at Daytona. Let's forget the duels happen. Start at the truck race at the duels. The truck race at Daytona. There's a wreck on the backstretch. Parker Kligerman pretty much has the race won. They let him race. They keep letting him go. And then there's another big wreck coming off of turn 4. They throw the yellow. Yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Go to the Xfinity race at Daytona. They just crossed the line to get the white. Big wreck on the front stretch. Throw the caution. That makes sense. You don't want to have drivers racing back to the line when you have guys actively getting out of their cars who was just involved in a wreck. I get it. Daytona, the 500. Massive wreck on the backstretch. William Byron has that race won. They let him go back to the line. Truck race, which I said earlier is the only race of this year in the top 3 touring series that has not had a last lap caution. Don't have to talk about that. The Xfinity race, massive wreck on the backstretch. They let Austin Hill go on win the race under green. And then the media outcry happens about, oh, it's driver safety this, driver safety that. When we all know anyways, it doesn't matter. The drivers are going to come barreling through there, like Cason said. And then tonight, NASCAR again is completely inconsistent and changes their ruling. And this is going to happen more throughout this year. And I believe I said it on the pod last time. As long as they're consistent with this, I'm fine with it. Just be consistent with something. If they would start calling these cautions, if they wreck on the last lap, just, okay, go ahead and call them. I won't agree with it, but as long as you're consistent about it, it makes sense to me. And I know there's different circumstances between every race and every wreck, but you can't tell me that the wreck tonight with Josh Berry and whoever else was worse than the wreck at the Xfinity race yesterday. You can't. And this just goes back to, I mean, NASCAR's been like this for a while, so I'm really not surprised, but it really grinds my gears that I'll spend really grinds my gears that I'll spend all day watching a cup race, even though I did take a nap through this one, but every Sunday. And it's you don't really know if NASCAR is going to screw it up with a poor call. This was probably the worst in recent. Well, no, it's not the worst, but they're setting a bar for this year where it's. I'm gonna just kind of expect this every week until they prove me otherwise. Um, I think on top of it, Christopher Bell wasn't going to win that race. It was going to been Lars. It would have been Larson, or you never know. You might have Carson Hocevar just um, wrecking Larson and DeBell, all three of them wreck, and then I think it would have been Blaney winning. But you just have another undeserving winner. Like at least Byron last week, he got through the wreck, so I could see him kind of deserving it in that sense. Bell was going to lose that race and just got lucky and was leading at the right time. And to stop myself from going on another tangent, this is a long list of times that Bell has benefited from NASCAR's questionable calls. And the one time he didn't benefit from it was last year at Martinsville when it benefited our other Mickey Mouse champion of the year and William Byron. So I'm going to stop complaining about it. Cason covered a lot of the points I made, but it's getting to the point where I'm much more looking forward to watching the truck race and the Xfinity race than the Cup race because why should I sit down on the couch for 3.5 hours? Why should I buy merchandise? Why should I buy tickets to these races if it constantly seems like the integrity of the sport is getting thrown into question because NASCAR wants to make another questionable call? Um, you can tout and say it's safety all day long, but it's not that. I don't know what goes through their head. NASCAR just gets pressured by the freaking media too much. Like they're worried about what other people think rather than being firm and consistent. And I think that's where if you had a figure like Bill France who was running the show, this shit wouldn't happen. But you just have a bunch of spineless bitches at NASCAR who they worry about what Jeff Gluck says or what Jordan Bianchi says. I mean, it was like I'm sorry, I know I'm going on and on and on. I believe this was the Austin Dillon incident last year. I could be wrong, but in the teardown, it was mentioned that somebody read off the transcript of the teardown podcast of what Jeff Gluck thought, and that NASCAR partially made their decision based on that. Why? Why? If you're gonna have a code and you're gonna run your sport, you can't run it off of what other people say. You can't make these decisions based off of a person. I like Jeff Gluck, but the dude's never stepped in foot inside of a stock car his entire life. What the hell does he know? He's just a fan. He's never driven a damn car. I know this is rich coming from me, but like shit, I have more fucking racing experience than Jeff Gluck does. They're half the NASCAR media's members for that matter. It's hell, and I don't know. I'm gonna stop here because I'm just gonna start rambling and going more and more into a deep downward spiral. So those are
Is
my
this what the
thoughts.
podcast is for?
Yes, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit, and NASCAR has screwed the pooch once again. And this is gonna happen many more times this year. We're gonna have many more discussions like these, and we're just wasting our breath because it's not going to change. NASCAR's turned into the WWE of motorsports. And
Don't listen to him, Elton. Don't listen to him.
The only positive that you mentioned is with NASCAR listening to podcasters over their own people. Does that mean that we might one day have some say in what happens?
they're going to see this image right here with Christopher Bell, Elton Sawyer. Yeah, Elton Sawyer. I think this is Jim France and Jusan Hamilton, the guy who probably called the caution tonight. And they're going to immediately turn this off. and I'm gonna get banned from ever having a job in NASCAR or anywhere near it solely because this pod.
Chris can never go to the NASCAR Hall of Fame ever again. He's banned for life.
I think I'm banned for life because I had a job offer there. Just didn't call him back. Cason knows how much you have to pay for parking there. Yet when you work there, you have to pay for parking. They only pay you like $12 an hour.
I mean, it's downtown.
They have their own parking garage. Just
Okay.
validate it for the employees. There's like 15 employees who work there.
You have to pay for parking if you work for the pizza man, the Little Caesars.
There are 4 floors to this parking deck, and rarely do they ever get full.
Yeah, it's called the rich wanting their money back.
Man, I'm not arguing about this because I probably would actually get banned from the Hall of Fame, but
You know what? I say we do it.
let's go get kicked out of Applebee's next.
Rumor has it that we might be kicked out of Buffalo Wild Wings there after a associate of ours failed to seal the deal there in the first place when he was there on a business move. On the parking thing, I would like to say that I pay for parking at my workplace in their own parking garage, but it costs me $50 a month, which is like akin to what, like 1 day at the hall.
I think it's $25.
Oh, so
To
2
park at
days
the
at the
hall.
hall is what it costs for me to park below ground in a police secured area.
Yeah,
I
pretty much.
think to park in front of Comerica Park, I think it's $25.
Is that Chad Canals, Cason?
Yeah, that's checking out down there.
It is in fact Chad Kanaush, dressing up like all of NASCAR. Will be dressing up this.
Don't listen to him, Elton.
I don't want to say this on the pod, but afterwards, keep you guys guessing if you're actually listening. I talked to a certain fella who works from a certain team last night at the bar, and I actually confirmed this with my own Google search, who told me a lot of interesting things that I swore I wouldn't repeat to anybody. So I hope that certain person ever finds this podcast doesn't hear what I'm saying. It's definitely not Elton Sawyer.
What?
Elton Sawyer was at the Denver Days concert last night, guys. It was my fault. I told him to throw the caution.
Just like in Chicago today?
Yes. I actually won that race, Joe. I'm fixing it on the standings right now. Fix your internet too. You kept lagging into me. That's why you got me off the bottom.
Hate the game, not the player.
Okay. Well, is there any last comments about NASCAR and their BS?
I don't have anything on NASCAR, but I know I have something that you might want to go off on because you saw me writing it in the notes.
Is it the thing at the very top right here? Are you on the notes?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
in there. You can go off on that if you want.
I will. But before, Casey, do you have anything else to say about the race or the finish or whatever it may be?
No other thoughts other than, I'm excited to get back to it on a Wednesday when I'm less triggered, and then I'll be triggered when William Byron wins next week due to him spinning out SVG or something like that.
All right. Well, Joe, you'd like to go off on our non-NASCAR topic of the day?
Oh, I actually have one more thing. I would like to say that William Byron is the best NASCAR driver in the world, and the best driver in the world, that means if he's better than Kyle Larson, he's got to be the best driver in the world, right?
Who else does he have to be better than if he's better than Kyle Larson? Out of everybody.
Kenny Schrader's the greatest driver in the world.
I thought that was Greg Sacks.
No, it's Kenny Schrader. Kenny Schrader's the GOAT.
It's Morgan Shepherd. Trick question.
Mike Harmon, final offer.
I'm out. So this one, I think you've went on a tangent about this before, about how much you hate F1.
I do. I do not like F1. I'm gonna let you finish here in a second, but F1 is just a bunch of Euro crap, and I probably wouldn't hate it as much if the F1 fans weren't such elitists and or dumbasses that came directly from Netflix. It is probably the worst racing in the world. I would rather watch a NASCAR race that ended like this every single week than to watch even 5 seconds of some F1 DRS train, no overtakes, Verstappen's guaranteed winner. And I don't care. It's awful. It's terrible racing. If you're gonna watch open wheel racing, have some testicles and watch IndyCar. It's a good quality product. Not like F1.
I do prefer IndyCar over F1, but I do like F1's games. Their games are really good.
Are they?
I won't watch an F1 race, but I'll play their games. Just like how I do basketball. I won't watch basketball, but I'll play their games. Because the games are really good. They're in depth. I like it. But F1 had their 75, I think it was 75th anniversary, I think, this year. So they had all the cars out displaying their liveries, as they call them.
Paint schemes. That's another thing that pisses me
they're
off.
Liveries, dude.
They're freaking paint schemes.
They're liveries. Don't listen to them, Elton.
I think Elton would agree with me on this.
No, don't do this. But Max got booed at this whole ceremony, which I think is very funny. I didn't see it. And if you know Max, you know his dad and how his dad's a massive, giant piece of shit.
Yeah. Didn't he used to be an F1 driver himself?
Yes, and he was awful. But he has this attitude. I don't want to go into details about his life. Just take it if you want to look him up.
Oh, I've
he is
heard
terrible.
Yeah.
He is right up there with Nelson Piquet. He's right up there. Yeah, he got booed. So Jos Verstappen said
Joss?
Max is it's Jos.
Wow, what a douche.
Yes.
I hate
he said Max isn't going to go to any more F1 like events if it takes place in Great Britain ever again, because Max got booed, and he said it was unacceptable and shame. It was like this is a shame. It's like the fans should be ashamed of themselves. And I find it funny because what we saw Kyle Busch get booed forever. I didn't see Kyle Busch go like, "How dare you!"
I mean, I go to every NASCAR race I go to, Cup race, I see Bubba Wallace getting a lot of boos. See Denny Hamlin getting a lot of boos. Do they not show back
Bubba
up?
Going, I'm not showing up next week.
all Bubba does is when he wins a race every 800 days or whatever, he'll just do this little number.
Bubba says no more Xfinity commercials for me.
Bunch of crybabies. That's why I hate F1.
I thought I'd put that out there so Chris can get a little more irritated. But
thank you.
I threw this on here before the whole NASCAR Cup.
Oh, you did,
which is actually pretty good for me.
Yeah, I did good job, Joe.
I want to write down what Chris said on here. F1's fuck F1 and bitch Stappen Larson clears.
I did not tell a lie.
No, I'm not going to put that part. That's just us saying we hate taking notes. But
a way that would make me respect an F1 driver? If they come out next race and say, "I'm Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's a bitch,"
right in front of the Australian. I think they're on Australia first. I have no idea.
Or
right in front of them.
Just say he's an ass.
Saw Brad do it.
So I have this comparison when I don't understand why. When F1 is like basketball, but to me, it's up there with soccer when it comes to being pansies.
Oh yeah.
You look at LeBron; he's on the ground. That's F1. Then you got NASCAR. NASCAR's hockey, and yeah, it's criminally underrated.
We did see rigged refs in hockey and NASCAR this week. So
yeah, we did.
Up.
We did.
You shut up.
Oh,
Don't listen to him, Elton. Those refs were on the up and up in hockey.
um, the only F1 driver I will ever respect is Juan Pablo Montoya. He gets my respect. I don't like the jet dryer jokes. They're overdone.
I want Cason to read what he say out loud what he put.
Wait, where's this at?
I didn't write anything, Joe.
Hey, you did. It's in the chat.
Oh,
I want you to read that.
Oh, yeah, I would. My last point that I want to make this entire podcast is calling a caution was pretty F1 like tonight by Elton.
Don't listen to him, Elton. It's about safety, you guys. You need to get over it.
we're gonna show up to the next pod, and Joe's gonna have a Elliot Sawyer
shrine.
blow up doll.
Might have a shrine.
How many Bush wins does he have? 5?
0.
He has 0? I thought he won at least like twice.
0.
You're lying. You're
He's
freaking lying.
The best that never was.
I don't believe you. Hold on.
He actually won 2 and
2.
392 races.
Why do we
You know
have a
what?
guy who fucking won 2 races? 2 fucking races in the Bush series. Be
How many
like,
races?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm the competition director. That's like Riley Herbst retiring and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna determine what's a fucking caution and what's not in NASCAR.
You
What
really
a
don't
I was
want
bum.
to.
I was gonna say Ryan Preece is gonna be the next competition director of NASCAR.
It's exactly like that.
Except for Ryan Preece was better in the Cup Series because it says that this man ran 29 races and never scored a top 10 in the Cup Series. So
Or a
Who's that?
pole.
Is that Elton Sawyer?
that is in
Yes.
fact Elton Sawyer. Yeah,
He's the best. The best
he
that
did
never
finish-
was.
he did finish 5th in the points 3 separate occasions.
Because he's great. He's the best that never was.
You know who the best race car driver in the Sawyer
never
family
was?
is?
Did you say Hermie?
No, I said the best race car driver in the Sawyer family is Patty Moise. I think we need Patty Moise to be the competition director of NASCAR because maybe she'll actually, make some good decisions, unlike her husband.
You don't have to take this, Elton.
Take it, Elton.
But
Well,
just so you know, what does Ben Kennedy do?
Ben Kennedy's the only one in the NASCAR upper management who knows what the hell they're doing.
How many wins has he got?
I don't know, but he knows what the hell he's doing.
I bet it's less than Elton.
Let's see.
it is in fact less than Elton.
It is.
He has 0 wins in 17 races. He did win 1 truck race in 73 races, though.
The only thing I give him though is he's actually related to Bill France.
That's the criteria.
Did Elton Sawyer bring back North Wilkesboro? Did he bring back Rockingham? Did he bring
would have got
the
around
Clash
to it.
Bowman Gray? No, the only thing Elton Sawyer's getting around to is getting sent out in front of the in front of the NASCAR media and just talking in circles.
How many lives has Ben Kennedy saved?
How many lives is freaking Elton
Countless
Sawyer
for
saved?
Elton. Countless.
Joe,
He saved 5 hypothetical lives tonight.
I don't know what, because you're on my big screen right now. I don't know who's the biggest loser, Elton Sawyer or the Sharks, because it seems like you just like pulling for people who lose.
That's true. In my whole entire life, I only have 1 championship to my name of everything that I root for, and that's Matt Kenseth.
Oh, so you're gonna toe the NASCAR line even though they changed the rules because of Matt Kenseth?
He was too good. He has to be stopped.
Well, this has gone off the rails. Does anyone else have anything to add to this?
I was just gonna say I have nothing to add except for I'm looking forward to Connor Zillage running in the Cup Series and getting back on track in the Xfinity Series.
The Connor
what I'm
Zillage
not-
Blaze pod is coming up.
The thing, yeah. The thing I'm not looking forward to in the next week outside of any of this, is the fact, if I'm not mistaken, William Byron's running in the 17 truck or Xfinity car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Xfinity car.
Car.
Yeah. Not looking forward to that because he's actually good at Coda.
I'm looking forward to seeing Tony Breidinger run at Coda. I think
Why?
he's
For the
an
next pod. Save it for the
early,
next pod.
early odds-on favorite. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you are listening on Spotify, please rate our podcast a 1 star so we can give up this dream and go back to having our Sunday nights free. And drop a comment telling us how much you hate me and Cason and Joe, and how
Drop a
wrong Joe
comment how
is all
much
the
you love
time.
Elton Sawyer.
Who's Elton Sawyer? Don't you mean Elliot Sawyer?
This beautiful man right here.
Well,
You got a little something there.
and thanks for those who are watching on YouTube. Um, hopefully I'll have this up sometime tomorrow, which it'll, if you're watching on YouTube, it's already up, but it's probably gonna take a little bit longer to upload than the Spotify pod. So you guys have a good night, and yeah, we'll catch you next time.